Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Paul Jukmus, and it's springtime here in Montana, and I've been in the mood to tie woolly buggers, so I got to thinking about tying a double hackle woolly bugger. I'm not sure if I haven't seen a recipe for this, but I think it's going to give it more of a body and give it some contrast in there. So, and I'm going to be using rotary vise techniques to do this. I've got here a size 12 4x long streamer hook with a gold bead I'm going to mount in my Anvil Atlas vise by Wolf Industries. When you mount this, the hook in your vise, you want to try to make it as parallel to the tabletop as you can. And what I do is I take my ruler and I set here and I look to see how much that shank moves up and down off the ruler. You can see that that's very level. It's not moving very much at all. That's really pretty good right there. So I'm going to take some 6/0 unithread. Okay, there it is anyway. And as I've said in my other videos, I wrap this around my finger before I start so that I can snap it off at the end here. So we'll go and wrap that down in even space turns. As I come to the back of the hook, I'll add a little bit extra so I can snap that right off. Okay. And I'm going to use some black marabou for this particular pattern. Got a bunch right here. Some marabou. And I'll just take off a fairly liberal chunk here. It's pretty good. There we are. And with the marabou fibers, you can see how they taper down and become more thin at the end. And that's what gives them more of a swimming motion. So if you can use the natural fiber and not trim it up, you're better off. I keep a little cup of water here so I can kind of dress those down, dampen them a little bit, and I get a better sense of the overall length of the fly, and it's a little easier to manage. Basically, you want it to be about a hook length. We'll tie it in right about there. Kind of hold the material over the side of the hook closest to me. Do a few light wraps. And then when I cinch it down tighter and it rolls up naturally, it's on top of the shank of the hook. Taking all my fibers together between my thumb and finger, I bring it up to the top of the hook shank and clip those. I don't need extra body on this fly, it'll be enough. Now, if I had put some weight in, I might have left that in to kind of fill in the gap to bring it up to the same thickness as the weight, but I didn't put weight in on this one. Okay, so I'm going to use some gold crystal flash. I got some right here. Here we are. So I'm going to tie in 4 pieces. So I'll measure that to the back on this side. Twist it around my thread there. Okay. Capture that in. Over the other side of the hook. Capture that. Double back. Leaving my loop a little longer than the rest. Oh, this stuff can really get twisted up if you're not careful. Maybe even if you are. Okay. Tie that in. Double back to the other side for the final one. There we are. Bring these all up together here. Give a nice clip. as I hold them kind of in the place that I want them, I'll come back here to cinch things down a little tighter, and that should hold them in place, and it did. Okay. Now, the whole point of this fly is I'm going to use two different hackles. I'm going to tie them in together. I'm going to use a rust-colored grizzly hackle and a plain black hackle. Now I'm going to tie in my rust-colored hackle first. Tying it in by the tip. I've already prepared it by removing the fibers from the underside here, from one side, kind of inside the curvature. And then I'm also going to stroke the fibers out here to give them a little bit more body, and also more movement will come from that. Kind of pinching a nice C with my fingers there to hold the materials. Bring it up and over. And take my next one, prepared it the same way. Remove the fibers from the underside or the curved side of the feather. And we'll tie that in by its tip as well. There we are. Cinch those in. More materials, more problems. Right, first thing I should have done was put this back in my materials clip, get it out of the way. And then that can allow me to better cinch up this one. There we are. And then finally, I'm going to take my chenille and I'll tie that in. One of the beauties of the rotating vise is you don't have to estimate how much chenille you should cut off. Just leave it on your card. To prepare the chenille, I'll pull off some of the fuzz off the end, exposing the core. Like that. A little bit more. Exposing that little core piece right there. And then I'll tie that in by its tip here. All right. Run the fly up to the bead, or the thread up to the bead. Go on a couple little half hitches real quick. Then I'll set this over on my bobbin rest. Okay, now the experiment here is we're going to try to do this together. Going to try to take these together. I kind of messed them up a little bit there, but that's all part of the experiment. I want the black in front and this grizzly hackle in back. And then you also want your chenille to be in the very front, and everything's going to follow it. So we're going to use what's called the together method. I'm going to hold all three of these pieces together. I'm going to take my rotating vise. And the idea here is I'm just going to roll these all up together here. Then, actually would like to take this back off a wrap here. We'll tie these off. I'm going to tie off the chenille separate. So that's my attempt, that's my plan. Here we are. Okay. And then get rid of the chenille. Then, holding these two together, I'm going to finish rotating out and make a nice little collar here, I hope. And then tie off the rest of the hackle. are. And cut those off. Taking my thumb and second finger and my first finger together, I'm going to drag back the fibers, kind of sweeping them back, and then tying those off. Here we are. Okay, now all that leaves is a whip finish. About 5 turns, 3, 4, 5. And then I like doing another 3 just to set it. 1, 2, 3. Get rid of our thread. And there we go. There's a double hackle woolly bugger. It's a rust and black. Here we go. Thank you very much.